What's up, YouTube? What's up, Raider Nation? It's 510 Raider. It's been a pretty eventful week so far. So I'm going to start off by giving you my thoughts on the Raiders' win over the Browns. Then I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Davante Adams news. As soon as we found out Davante Adams, Max Crosby, and Michael Mayer would be out, and of course we already knew that we lost Marcus Epps for the year, I was like, damn, that's 4 starters that will not be playing this Sunday. And one of them is our star wide receiver. The other is our star defensive end. So I went into this game with no expectations. Personally, I actually thought we were going to lose the game. So when the Browns got off to a 10-0 lead, I wasn't like, oh my God, here we go again. It was more like, okay, it's going to be one of those type of games. However, after the Browns got out to their lead, it was nice to see the Raiders offense score 20 unanswered points. Now, this is where I'm going to give my shout-outs. And I'm going to start with the coaching, but my coaching shout-outs are going to lead into the player shout-outs. I got to give a shout-out to Luke Getsy, offensive coordinator. I know a lot of Raider fans out there do not like him. They don't like his play calling. Now, his play calling at the end of the game, when the offense was trying to close the game out, I didn't like the play calling then. I thought he got too conservative. However, if I'm judging off of what I watched, I like that he actually put together a solid game plan. He's already aware he's out his star wide receiver. So he had to get creative in getting his other playmakers involved. And so far in the first quarter of the season where the Raiders have struggled is in the run game. I like that Getsy tried to get other people involved in the run game. He still, of course, featured Zamir White, but I like that he got Alexander Mattison involved. And man, did he show up. 5 carries for 60 yards. Props to him. I like that Antonio Pierce said, based on the production, that Mattison deserves more playing time, and I agree. The scheme that our offensive line coach is teaching, Mattison is more suited for that scheme, unlike Zamir White. They're both 2 different types of running backs. And the scheme that our O-line coach is teaching doesn't fit Zamir White. But I like that Getsy got other players involved in the run game. He did jet sweeps with DJ Turner, Trey Tucker, Brock Bowers, and Tyreek McAllister. Both of our touchdowns were rushing touchdowns, and they weren't scored by a running back. They were both scored by a wide receiver. And I also like that he didn't ask Gardner Minshew to do too much. He basically said, just manage the game. Don't lose us the game. Minshew didn't have a good game, but he didn't have a bad game. He didn't turn the ball over. He didn't fumble the ball. He didn't throw an interception. He basically did his job. So even though there was nothing much in the passing game, it was just refreshing to see the run game finally get going. A season high, 152 yards on the ground. Because if that doesn't happen, who's to say if we win this game? I also want to give a shout out to defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. It wasn't a good start. We gave up the game's first 10 points. But after that, the defense tightened up, and for the rest of the game, they didn't allow a single point. I've always noticed under Patrick Graham that whenever the Raiders have a lead, he's been able to let loose on his play calling. He dials up different coverages. He dials up the blitz. Our backup safety, Isaiah Palamau, who's replacing the injured Marcus Epps, he got in on a sack. Other guys like Charles Snowden got in on a sack. Then Janarius Robinson and Christian Wilkins both shared a sack. Now, even though this guy didn't record a sack, I like that Tyree Wilson was getting some good pressures. Let's just hope that as the season goes on, he's able to finally get home and become a more impactful player. I've always noticed that Patrick Graham's defenses are bend but don't break, so thankfully we were able to come up with a defensive play to close the game. It was just cool to see all the players that fought for a roster spot in week 3 of the preseason take advantage of their opportunity. One thing that I would say that was irritating to see was the fact that Myles Garrett, according to the broadcasters, was suffering from 3 different injuries, and he still got 2 sacks on Minshew. Now, I know Myles Garrett's a great player. It's just frustrating when he's injured and he still gets home. Now, we know this offensive line is still shaky. Let's just hope that they can work on some consistency. The biggest bummer in the game was Zamir White fumbling the ball and giving the Browns a defensive touchdown, because that play killed our whole offensive momentum. After that play, our offense just couldn't get anything going again. Now, there's people that cover the Raiders that say that this was an impressive win to them. I'm not going to go that far and use the word impressive. To me, it was encouraging. And the reason why I say that is because seeing all of our young talent and players that we really don't know too much about, it was encouraging to see them step up and help us win a football game. The only thing is, let's not try to depend on those youngsters going forward, and hopefully we can get our stars healthy. But overall, always happy to get a win. Like I said last week, 2-2 is a hell of a lot better than 1-3. Hopefully this coaching staff comes up with another game plan going into Denver this upcoming Sunday, because the Raiders have won 8 in a row against the Broncos, and the Broncos are tired of losing to the Raiders. Now, despite that, another reason why I hope the coaching staff comes up with a good game plan is because of the Davante Adams news. Now, ever since we've gotten Davante Adams, it seems like every week and every offseason, there's rumors about him being traded. And since I've read reports of him saying if he wanted to be gone, he'd be gone. Since I watch his interviews with Kay Adams, and he literally says that he doesn't want to go anywhere, that all the trade talk is basically false, I've never really cared too much about those rumors. I always go off of his words. So when I saw the news earlier, I was like, what the hell is going on? Now, the national guys that cover the NFL, like Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, whenever they have anything to say, I always listen because I know their reporting is authentic. However, those two are not the ones that I look up for Raiders news. The people that I follow for Raiders news are the ones that are in the Raiders facility covering the Raiders on an everyday basis. This one guy who works for the Raiders, who's on Raider Nation Radio every single day, when he said that this morning that there was no talk in the Raiders front office about shopping Davante Adams around, that they weren't on the phone talking to other teams about any trade talk, that's where I'm like, okay, that's who I'm going to listen to. So for me, until I hear any word from Tom Telesco, the general manager, Antonio Pierce, the head coach, or Davante Adams himself, I'm kind of just going to say, we'll see what happens. I mean, the news sucks. It's not fun when you hear that your star wide receiver prefers to be traded. I hope that the front office and Davante come to a solution where he stays. Now, I know there's a lot of fans out there that say, if someone doesn't want to be here, let him go. There's a part of me that does feel that way as well. However, a player of his caliber, we need him to stay because he's a big part of this offense. Antonio Pierce said that he'd see the players on Wednesday, so I'm just going to wait till the players get back to the facility and we hear what the coach has to say. I don't want to put so much thought into it because at the end of the day, we still have a game on Sunday, regardless if he's gone sooner or later. But that's all I got for y'all tonight. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week and have a great weekend.